Welcome intermediate students to another intermediate lesson at learnpianolive.com. This is an intermediate lesson, so the assumption is that you can probably play a couple songs at least well enough to impress a couple friends. You might have some basic understanding of music theory or something, but you really haven't had any formal training. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you feel, throughout this lesson like it's way too advanced, you might want to go back and check out yesterday's lesson. It's in the archives, the beginner's version of this lesson. That might answer a lot of your questions, but feel free to ask away, ask any questions. This is about you and me, so you got to ask questions so I know, how to help you best. And there's a couple other things I want to talk to you too about before this countdown clock hits 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You can ask your questions there. Or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then we click submit. Then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but it works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally, in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really going to happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archive, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. All right, today we're doing everybody's favorite topic. Out of the 8 sectors of musicianship, the one that everybody always likes the most is application. That's where you finally actually get to play a song. So if you've been here for the last couple weeks, you'll notice a lot of the same concepts popping up today, because we're going to take those concepts, we're going to apply them to a very specific song. If you haven't been here, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to play all of our little concepts. So hopefully at the end of today's lesson, you'll have all the tools to practice an actual real song that you can play for your friends and impress them. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. This is Theory of 1,000 Years, and we are finally back to our semi-normal, if what we do is kind of normal, version of these covers. So this is 1,000 Years. This is what the song sounds like. I'll let you listen for a minute here before I jump in and mess stuff up.
How to be brave, how can I love when I'm
pretty much how it goes. Your track sounds a little bit different than that, a lot different than that, as usual. This is your... Hopefully you can hear the similarities there. Same speed, same key, same chords, different instrumentation, which kind of makes a difference. So anyway, let's jump into this thing and see what we have. Now yesterday, in case you weren't here and you're just back for a regular intermediate lesson, yesterday I showed you the kids lesson on this song. We just went through the chorus of it. You got some actually really interesting and different feedback from last time we tried that. So thank you all for your ideas. I've already incorporated several of those things, and hopefully for those of you who are trying to switch over accounts, that's working out for you as well. So anyway, glad to have as many of you as possible learning the best way, the way that's best for you. So let's talk about the theory behind this thing and see if we can figure out some of this stuff. This, here we go. First thing to know is this is in the key of B flat. So hang on, this is all messed up. I'm going to turn myself into a ghost here. Whoa. There we go. Almost, man. Maybe you could do this stuff like in setting up for the lesson. Maybe you wouldn't have to. Yeah, there we go. That'll be close enough. All right, so back to the. This thing is in the key of B flat, so that means that we're going to use all of these notes right here. Now, in yesterday's lesson, I gave you guys a sneak peek into this thing that, as it would be played in the key of C, and so got lots of questions about transposing and about playing in different keys and stuff like that. And in the past, we've just jumped straight to the original key in the adults' lessons. So if you're feeling like, wow, that was really easy in the key of C, but now I'm all depressed because the key of B flat is significantly harder, then that's all normal. That's all the right feeling. The goal is eventually that you'll be able to see all of these keys as just patterns. So like when I see the key of B flat, like if someone says, hey, let's play whatever song, I always use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, in the key of B flat, these notes right here stick out to me as like these, that's the pattern. And in my mind, it's really, B flats are important. That's the kind of the center of the key. But after that, it's just a pattern. So it's this thing right here and that thing right there. So it's like this little U shape on the piano. I got the high part here, the low part here, back to the high part, and then a big dip here. So a 2-note dip here, and a 3-note dip here, and then I've got B flats on both sides. That's the geography of it. It's like a small U, and then a big U after that. And so that's the key of B flat. So for me, playing in the key of B flat is just a matter of playing in that pattern. And eventually, again, this doesn't have to happen immediately for you, but eventually this is actually easier than playing in the key of C, because key of C is just a desert. It's just all white notes all the way along here, and this may not do anything for you, but like for me, like that doesn't tell me any, like that's all the key of C. So it's, while it's true I haven't hit any wrong notes, like there's no, like what is the important point in the key of C? Well, it's hard to see it. I mean, it's all the C's, but there's nothing in the geography that tells me that. In the key of B flat, it's so much easier to see that, like, I've got these B flats and I've got something, some character, some geographical character in there. So I can see that, like, that's my 4 and 4 and 4 and 4. That's way easier to see for me than in the key of C. Like, that's my 4 and that's my 4 and that's my 4. There's just a lot more processing that goes on in finding each of the numbers inside of the key. So eventually, I guess the short way of saying all of that is that eventually all of these different keys become easier than the key of C, because C is boring and it's desertous, and not the sound of it necessarily, but just the looking at it, it's hard to differentiate the notes because it's all just white. So anyway, back to the key of B flat. The more you play in the key of B flat and the more you pay attention to what the numbers are, the more the quicker you'll become familiar with the key, because you'll be noticing the geographical important keys
landmarks, maybe, is what we would, if we was going to keep the analogy. We'd notice all the landmarks in there. So B flat is the key that we're in, and that means that we're going to be playing a lot of, since it's a theory lesson here today, a lot of 1s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, as usual. There is 1-2 chord in there. But let's just think about this. In the key of B flat, a 1 chord would be what? Hopefully you're guessing B flat, because B flat is the 1. So the 1 chord would be every other note in the key starting on B flat. So that one, and that one. So that would be, if we go back to the key of B flat, I'll get rid of these, there we go, landmarks for you. And so the 1 chord would just be the 1 and then every other note. So the 1, the 3, and the 5. Those 3 played together are the 1 chord because we started on the 1. In the same way, the 4 chord would be just every other note starting on the 4. So this is the 4 right here, this guy. And then it's just every other note starting on the 4. So the 4, the 6, and then the 1. Because this key, again, the key of B flat, just repeats after you get back to the 1. It's just the same thing over and over. So the 4, the 6, and the 1 are every other number in the key of any key. So those 3 notes right there would make up the 4 chord. So we have a B flat chord so far, and then an E flat chord. A 5 chord would be the same thing. We just go to the 5 and we play every other note starting on the 5. So the 5 and then the 7, and then crud, we can't go past the 1 because our graph only goes up to the 1. But 1 past number 1 is, if that question made any sense to you, hopefully the easy answer was 2, but maybe the question didn't make sense. So the 2 is going to be the next note over. Of course, our graph doesn't go that far, but the 2 is right there. So the 5, the 7, and the 2, that's our 5 chord, also known as an F major. So F major is the 5 chord in the key of B flat. All of these chords are listed here, as usual. We have the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord. This is our 6 chord, and this is our 2 chord. So just paying attention to what those numbers are is going to be also significant for changing keys if you're going to be playing chords in other keys. Here we go. Also on this last page here, you have all of these ones. These are the ultimate guitar chords adjusted for the key of B flat. So if we play this along with Christina Perry, let's try that. You don't have to actually play through it, but I just want to show you where it's going here. So E flat is going to be right there. So around heart, we'll be playing an E flat. And here we go. Heart beats
fast, colors and how to be brave, how can I love when I'm afraid to fall, but watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer.
So those are all the chords for those sections. Now, you'll notice your chart over here. The play-along track has some other stuff in it. For example, that one that we just played off of Ultimate Guitar does not have the C minor in it right there. It just plays G minor through that entire thing. So there are a couple discrepancies there between their chords and my chords, but I think mine are right, and apparently the world thinks that theirs are right. Whatever, the world's wrong. So there you go. We're going to play through these chords in this time with the chords that are listed here with the play along track that you have. It's at 140 beats per minute in case you want to play it slower than this at home. Then set your metronomes to 100 probably, or maybe 80, and then work your way up to 140. Once you get to 140 on your metronome, then you are ready to play along with the play along track. And let's try this bad boy. Here we go. And B flat, B flat. Oh, I didn't mention this too. Sorry. This is in 6/8. So in 6/8 time, we're going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives that feeling of like the two halves, the 1, 2, 3, and the 4, 5, 6. Your track actually is played in 3, 4. So this is actually, if we go 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They're calling that a waltz in the program that makes those tracks. So that would be counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But to my ear, this song feels like it has two halves that each have 3 beats in them. So this thing, that half, and that half, that half, that half. That as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6. So I'm calling this a 6/8, but you could call it a 3/4 if you want to count in threes. But anyway, that's how we're getting so many beats between the E flat and the B flat, because there's actually 12 pulses in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the top again. 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. E flat. B flat. G minor. F, B flat, C minor, G minor, F, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the whole thing. At the end, I do add in a B flat there to end on, because the F didn't sound right to end on. So anyway, throw in a B flat at the end of that. But yeah, the rest of these chords, I always get questions about this section, that there's nothing that happens there. But they kind of start a new section on the 7th bar of the song, so in the 7th measure. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 measures in, they start a new section, and then they do that same exact thing 7 more measures, which is what makes this verse part feel a little bit uneven, or a little bit shortened. If it feels to you like they end before it's time to end, or that the chorus comes in too early, or that this C minor right here feels like it's kind of out of place, it's because you're expecting a set of 4, as we always do, and so we'd have a set of 4 right there, and then a set of 4 right there, but then 2 of those are missing. So let's play the original back, and you can hopefully hear that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So this is the 4th measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one all feels normal. We're gonna have a set of 8 bars, which is divisible by 4, and then it feels right to do something right there.
Beats fast, colors and
3rd measure, 4th measure,
how to be brave.
5th measure,
How can I
sixth measure. We should have another 2, but they start something else right there. So that was kind of early. Okay, no problem.
Watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly
5, 6.
goes
Keep
away
going. Right.
somehow.
But then they start something new.
One step closer.
And then we should have something there. And they do. There. So that's why going into, I guess, the chorus part of it, after this pre-chorus, if you want to call it that, after that, this feels normal. And the entire chorus feels normal because it's 2 sets of 4 or 1 set of 8. Let's get rid of this for right now because she doesn't do that the first time through. So we have a set of 8 right here on the chorus, and the pre-chorus is 4, but everything before that is just a little bit off because they come in too early. Earlier than we would expect in a pop tune, and earlier than it feels is right. So anyway, that's the measure count thing that we do, and then the here we go. Let's do the chord number thing as well. So starts on, this is interesting, an E flat, which is not a 1 chord in the key that we're in. The key that we're in is B flat, and the E flat is the what in B flat? The 4 chord. So it starts on a 4 chord, which is starting right off at the very beginning, kind of less than normal. It's not starting on the 1 of the key. So you already kind of start out feeling a little bit uneasy, like we're not settled yet. This B flat, even though it's a B flat, is actually a B flat over F, or sorry, B flat over A. There we go. Nope, that's not right at all. B flat over D. There we go. So it starts on an E flat. So the chord is a B flat, but the lowest note is a D. So even though it goes to the 1 chord, home bass for the key, it doesn't really feel settled because we haven't played a 1 in the bass. And I'm going to zoom out here so you can see that better. So we've got the 4 chord. And then when we go to home, what should be a nice homecoming is actually kind of like not really home. Really home would be that feels like home. That feels like a place where you could end the song. But that's not what they do. They do B flat over D. And then they go to this one, which is a 6, and then a 5, and then a 1 chord just temporarily. So this is the only legitimate 1 chord, and it only happens for 3 beats, for half a measure here in the entire thing. This other B flat is kind of a cheater B flat. That's not really the 1 chord. So the only place that they put the 1 chord is the very, 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 very end, and not even in like a significant place. It's not the beginning of a measure. It's not on an important measure. It's on the least important measure in the least important place, which is the second measure in a set of 4, and it's not even a full set of 4, and it's not even at beat 1. So the one place where you could feel settled, they've hidden it, they've buried it down in the least settling part. So that's why during the entire verse, you don't really feel a 1 ever, because they don't really use it in any significant places until, bam, right here on the chorus. So that's why when we get to the chorus, it finally feels like, I've been waiting for that for so long, because they actually hit a legitimate 1 chord in an important measure, in an important place in the measure. An important measure is the first measure in a set of 4. So basically the beginning of any of these lines. So first thing on your chorus, right here, beat 1, measure 1 of the chorus finally feels so resolved, because they've been not resolving anything for so long. So let's listen for that. Okay, so we're going to start off with a 4 chord. Right there, that's not home bass. It's kind of a 1 chord, but it doesn't feel settled. No. Right there, the only 1 chord. Now we're back to the 4 chord. cheater 1 chord. It's a 1 over 3.
All of my doubt
6.
suddenly goes away.
There's a 1 chord, but then it moves right into a 2 chord.
One step closer.
All of that build up, no ones until
I've died every day
finally that one happens.
for you.
Right there. And then we're into just a regular 1, 6, 4. This is really a 5 right here. This is B flat over F, which is basically a version of a 5 chord. It's a suspended 5 chord. So it's just going to go 1, 6, 4, 5, which is every man's. That's the 1, 6, 4, 5 feel in every rock song from the 60s and yeah. So anyway, that's just a regular, plain old. Couldn't get a more boring, in a not negative way, a more predictable, that's a nicer way to put that, more predictable chorus. And it's all set up with this completely unsettled pre-chorus and verse. So there you go, there's that. As you have been requesting recently, I am not putting in the numbers for the melody. I'm going to let you try to fill in some of those before I give you the answers tomorrow. But I will tell you that one starts on a 1. So that's heart beats fast. Colors and promises how. And I'll give you that much of it. There are your first answers. Do your best on the rest of those to figure out a single note other than what I've just given you. And the words continue on the next one. And then here are all of your chords. Come back tomorrow and we should have some changes to this lead sheet with this in here and then with the regular version of the chords the way that we usually do them there. And yeah, I think that's actually it. Let's see here. What else we've got? Yes, continue. Okay. Okay. How do you... Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about how to find each of the number chords. Hopefully that came in before we got to that. So we talked about on here how you just, for each chord number, yeah, you're just going to go to the number of the chord. So in a 2 chord, I don't have the chord numbers anywhere on here. Oh, I did put the chord numbers in there. So like for a 4 chord, then yes, that must be what we're talking about. For a 4 chord, you would just go to the 4 of the key and then play every other note starting on the 4. So that one and that one and that one. So every other note starting on whatever the number of the chord is. So that's how you'd find a 4 chord, and then that just repeats afterwards. So the 6 chord would just be the 6, and then not the 7, but the 1, not the 2, but the 3, which you, of course, have over here as well. That's going to be the same note. So the 6, the 1, and the 3 is going to make up the 6 chord. So I think that's it. So anyway, if you have any other questions about that, or if you're in the archives, then let me know. And otherwise, I'll see you maybe tomorrow as we try to cover this song, talk about some chord substitutions and stuff like that. And then next week, we're on to another regular lesson that is not a cover. You know I love you. Until next time, good luck and have fun.